Greetings, growers of the world. Back with more GrowCast. Keeping it clean, folks. Today, we have Jason Hadley back on the line. You know what's up. We're talking about resets, that time in between runs. Resetting your room, cleaning your room, understanding cleanliness practices, and going deep into different cleaning solutions. Today's a jam-packed episode filled with fun facts. I know you're going to love it. But before we jump into it with Jason, shout out to AC Infinity. That's right, ACinfinity.com. Code GrowCast15 gets you the biggest savings available on each product, including their Grow Kits. That's right. The Grow Kit has everything you need to get started, all packaged up into one nice kit. You get your tent, you get your light, you get your fans, pots, all of the things that you need except for some dirt and some seeds, and you can get growing or get that veg tent going. You know, if you're only running one tent, you need to get that veg tent going so that as soon as you harvest, you got some more plants ready to flip. That's going to really do a number on your total yearly harvest and increase your production substantially. I highly recommend having multiple spaces, even if you just need a little 2x2. Grab the cheapest kits around, go to ACinfinity.com, use code GrowCast15. I love their fans. I love their tents. You will not go wrong. Plus, they got a bunch of other stuff. They got glasses for in your grow. They got twist ties and ratchet hangers, all sorts of cool stuff. It's all at ACinfinity.com. Go and grab some gear, treat yourself this holiday season, and make sure to use GrowCast15 as your code. That is how you support the show, and you support our partners, and you support your own grow. So, ACinfinity.com, code GrowCast15. Always thank you to everyone who supports us and uses our codes, and thank you to AC Infinity. All right, let's get into it with Jason. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to GrowCast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, as always, I urge you to share this show with a grower. Turn someone on to growing. It's the best way that you can make an impact in the cannabis community. Follow us on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure that you're subscribed. I appreciate you tuning in, and a special thanks to all the members who make this community possible. Oh, today we're keeping it clean, everybody. You know the slogan, keep it clean. Today, we're talking about just that. We're talking about cleaning rooms. We're talking about resets, what to do in between runs, how we should be approaching that time that we have in between each harvest. And we have a clean room expert. I would certainly consider him a keep it clean expert. Jason from Lighthouse and Filtr is back on the line. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, and it is always awesome to be back. Your audience is fantastic. They oftentimes reach out to me after the show, and very inquisitive folk. You know what I mean? Cannabis has a lot of really smart people in it. You know what I mean? And I love the industry for that.
That's great, man. Your Instagram is definitely a must follow. Why don't you throw out the Instagram handle for all the people who want to follow you and get some really cool like visuals. Sometimes you post like funny stuff about dirty rooms and dirty people, but you also have some really cool like informational graphics that show you really, really cool visual representation. So where can people follow you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm primarily on the Instagram because I'm a Gen Xer and I hate social media in general, but I'll tolerate it. I'll tolerate it in order to help build a following and spread the gospel, if you will. So if you're on the Instagram, you can find me as Dyslexic Stoner 402. As you can see, I live it, getting all tongue-tied with even saying it. But, Dyslexic Stoner 402 is best way to reach me. You can also email me directly at jhadley@golighthouse.com. That's the letter J, HADLEY @golighthouse.com. The company's kind of a big deal in the clean room world. And, at the end of the day, Jordan, man, like clean rooms and cannabis, the level of cleanliness you need in cannabis, they're not that far off. You know what I mean? Like in concept, because really what it comes down to is a clean room wants all of the particles removed. They don't give a shit. Like they are just like, terminate with extreme prejudice type of thing, right? Whereas like cannabis, it has a more narrowed size and type range, so if you were to gear a microbe control program in a cannabis facility, you would want to target your smallest particle threat would be 1 micron and larger. like 1 to 2 microns is like an Aspergillus fumigatus spore. So at the end of the day, if you're those are the smallest plant pathogens, right? I mean, we're still affected by ultrafine dusts and, I mean, I'm sure you heard about a death at a facility and, due to particulates in the air and what have you. So, until OSHA steps in, it's going to be plants over people for right now. But
I don't mean to laugh, but it's true. You're right. It's like we're taking all these different standards from other industries and applying them or not applying them to what we're doing. And it's fascinating to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, further to that point, actually, it's funny because the state of Michigan, for example, is considering passing something called 21 CFR Part 117. That's the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 117, which is the FDA standards for the manufacture of human food. And here's the thing, like, there's usually a kill step involved in manufacturing food. Like your pasta sauce has to be a certain temperature to go into the bottle, and your meatballs have to pass on a conveyor belt at a certain speed, in order to achieve, the kill of any bacteria that's in the meat or the vegetables or what have you. But that's to imply that like cannabis isn't growing something with a washable skin, like a tomato or a cucumber or something like that. I mean, as I always say, you're growing flypaper that gets you high. So it's like, yeah, it's delicate and it's just extremely sensitive overall. I mean, in the real world, we can be dirty, gross people all day long and look at the pink mold in the corner of your shower, and you can live with that in the real world. But if your plants have to answer to some kind of like compliance standard, like you can't have certain molds or a certain volume of mold within your final product, like you have to segregate the your process and be extra considerately clean. You know what I mean? That's not really a word, but you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And it's something that I encourage overall as growers, because I do think that it's going to be one of the ways that certain people could try to attack home grow, right? This is a really easy argument to make. And I think that it's largely a faulty argument in that I don't think it's worth exchanging our rights to grow at home. But what they're going to say is, hey, you're producing medicine, but it could be dirty. Have you tested for how much bacteria or fungal activity could be going on in that home grow? Now, we all know that the white market also lies and does dirty things and skews their tests and does all that.
Oh, sure.
So I'm certainly not on that side, but that is an argument that I feel some people will try to make against home grow, So we should be cleaner at home.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and here's the thing is it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, it can, depending on the level of sophistication you want to create. I mean, most people aren't going to create a clean room environment in their home environment, let alone in a commercial facility. That's not going to happen. But what you can do is take a lot of the things and the concepts, the practices, the equipment. You can meld it all in. So my job on my Instagram page, for example, is to take all this like stuff that people go to 4-year universities to learn, right? There's degrees in like industrial hygiene. And, I just recently got a food safety certificate for HACCP, just to sharpen my sword, right? And like, if you can live between pharmaceutical at the top end and food manufacturing standards at the bottom end, and again, you're kind of, this industry's built on MacGyverisms. So my job is to take all of this information and boil it down into like either something that makes you go, whoa, that shit's trippy, or holy hell, that's hilarious. Like put it in some lowbrow dick joke style way where like
digestible. I think to be a little more charitable to yourself.
Yeah. It's
digestible. Yeah. You see the diagram and you're like, oh, I could incorporate this step-by-step practice of like, enter my grow room here, take off my shoes, hit the sink right away. I can see what you're saying, boiling it down from a broader perspective to something more digestible.
Yeah, for sure. And, like the visuals on the account are really designed that you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to remember, I was like a 15-year stand-up comic through my whole cannabis career. So all the joke writing's coming into play. Do they all land? No.
Oh, that's besides the point, though.
That's besides the point. I mean, if it's not funny, it's at least informative, right?
Yes, absolutely. But on the subject of cleaning and cleanliness, Jason, for the home grower, what ends up happening is we have these cycles, these runs, right? Sometimes we only have one tent, and it's especially pronounced where like we pop the seeds, we vegetate, we flower, and then we harvest. And then that reset time, that's where all the cleaning is taking place. 90% of growers, that's where all the cleaning is taking place after you've harvested, before you start your next run. So before I go even deeper into that, let me just get your opinion right there. We should be cleaning during the run as well. No?
Not as much, because, again, you don't want to disrupt the process. I would say this. You're right. 90% of the cleaning is done during the reset of like a home grower's tent. But 100% of the time, you need to be focused on preventing things from even getting in there. So, in other words, like, you can apply all the cleaning agents and procure slow releases and all that stuff all day long. But if you don't make like behavioral changes or like process changes, you're going to keep reintroducing the problem.
So true.
You know what I mean? So I take it to things of like the concept of like, let's really understand what clean means. Right? So like in a food factory environment, they would use a device called an ATP meter, where somebody would take a reading of a surface before, they'd execute the cleaning protocol, then they'd swab it again and put it inside this machine. And the number should be lower than before, ergo you're demonstrating you're clean. A lot of the home growers, we kind of come from the world of, well, if it looks clean and it smells clean, then it must be clean.
Hell yeah, brother.
And that's not always the case. Also, the other thing too is that, there are very specific terms that divide levels of cleanliness. So colloquially speaking, like, we tend to intertwine sanitize, sterilize, and disinfect are like kind of often used interchangeably when we're talking about cleaning. However, they in fact have very distinct meanings, like within the industries that those concepts are applied. For example, sanitizing is really designed more for like bacteria and food environments, like food factories, restaurant environments, stuff like that. Disinfection is starting to get more into like the hospital level, which is like, because we're looking for molds, we're looking for also bacteria, but also virus as well.
Viruses, right?
Those types of things. And then you have sterilize, which is the highest level of cleanliness. And so what sterile means is not only have you killed every microbe on that surface, but there are no corpses there either.
Jesus. Okay. So sterilization is misused in our setting because we have those things inherently in our root zones and all that good stuff.
So every home grower is going to have a bottle of Lysol under their bathroom sink, right? Because you're at home. Every home has a bottle of Lysol or some sort of spray disinfectant, right? And if you look on the front, it says kills 99.9%, and then there's an asterisk.
Yes.
Right? So when it comes to talking about cleaning and cleanliness, that asterisk means that if used directly or like follow per the directions, if used as directed, it will achieve that level of kill. So one of the big things that I would suggest in all of that 90% of the reset process is take that time between the reset processes to understand what what are your cleansers designed to do and how to apply them. So there's something called contact time. If you look on the back bottle of Lysol, in fact, wouldn't you know it, old Hadley here happens to have one right by his computer, and it says, spray and leave wet for 30 seconds to kill E. coli. Spray and leave wet for 10 minutes to clean, aspergillus. And, so there's different levels of things. You have to figure out what you're trying to kill.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to get into all those cleansers specifically. Before we do that, though, let's dial it back just a second to what you said before. So we're in the reset time. And you said, before you go in there and clean everything and try to kill off everything and make it, you got to make sure that you're not inviting the pathogen or the pest back into your garden. Now, what I'd like to focus on there is vectors, right? This word, I've used it on the podcast before. Someone recently wrote me saying, can you explain what that means? Vectors just basically meaning the thing that brings in the pest, right?
Correct.
So a vector of a virus would be somebody who's sick bringing it to you. They vectored that virus to you. It can be the same with an insect pest, a pathogen, a viroid, what have you. Listing those vectors and getting those down is so much more important than making sure your space is clean. You're absolutely right. And I think that there's some we don't think of, and I think that there's some that we think of way too much. So for instance, I work with a lot of home growers, and Jason, honestly, the number one vector that I see, hands down, it doesn't matter what it is It's
Mhm.
taking in someone else's cut. I see them taking someone else's cut and it brings in
Mhm.
whatever you want to say. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's
Yep.
probably the number one vector that I see. But you tell me.
Let me put it this way. It is like a tie for first across the board. 'Cause, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, for some people, their main problem is like, I keep bringing cuts in and I keep giving myself stuff. The other time it's like, oh, I let my dog run around in the same room that my tent is in.
Pets
Or,
for sure gets talked.
Pets for sure. Depending on what you do for work during the day, if you don't change, I mean, you should change before you go into your facility or your growing cultivation space. I would make sure to like have dedicated clothes and shoes because clothes and shoes are a vector. Remember, they're walking around your house. The house itself is a problem, is a source of these
You always
contaminants.
freak us out, Jason, when you come on.
I know, it's crazy. I can't eat birthday cake anymore now after someone blows candles out on it, right? It's an awful existence, I'm telling you.
No, but you as a victim, I feel like that doesn't get talked about a lot. Yourself. You're right. What have you been walking through? Your clothes and your hair. That's a big one.
Yeah, your clothes, your hair. Remember that you're walking on perhaps carpet, or when's the last time you cleaned your flooring, before you created that path. So one thing I might suggest, either right inside or just outside the door of wherever this cultivation is deploying what would be called a sticky mat.
Oh, I've
And
seen
it's about
those.
it's about the shape of a doormat. It comes with like 30 sticky sheets on it. And it's basically something that you would walk on a couple of times before you walked into the space that you're growing in. And it's just a way to help pull particles off of the bottom of your feet. The other thing you could do is wear booties as well. But I mean, in a house out, that's not always practical. I get it.
I like the sticky mat ideas. I don't know how many I've seen those in grows that I've gone to tour. I don't know how many home grows I've seen that have sticky mats. I mean, $23 on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
You could get this and maybe possibly save your run from a horrible disaster. The sticky mats for your shoes. I like that.
I mean, yeah, because there's all these things within our house, and the technical term for it is called a fomite. A fomite is like a thing that allows for continual deposit and travel of microbes. So, like for example, your couch, right? You go out into the world, you come back home, you go sit on your couch, you deposit all the particles you picked up in the day into your couch. And then let's say, like in the commercial world, you're getting up and going to the facility that day. You go and sit on the couch in order to go put your shoes on before you leave. And you picked up a whole bunch of other things and you brought them into the car, and then the car brought them into the building. And so a lot of that has to be stopped like right before you go into the cultivation space. I mean, I don't mean to beat a dead horse on this, but at the end of the day, if you can just make sure to keep your feet clean, dedicated set of clothes, and don't let any pets or kids or anything like that in there, you're probably like good to go.
You're
from that
far ahead of the game. And if you do a quarantine or pop from seed at that point, you've protected yourself quite well, I would say.
Yeah.
I
would also make sure that you're up to snuff on your HVAC filtration in your house, because, some of the things that you're not, I mean, it's tough because you can only put so much filtration into a home system before you experience like cooling capacity losses, or you're working your mechanicals too hard, like your rooftop unit or your, the unit on the side of the house starts working too hard.
Right.
So where you can't improve the household filtration, I highly recommend a HEPA filter. I mean, my HEPA filter is a little pricey for the home market, admittedly, but at the end of the day, you don't have as much air volume in order to treat, so you can get away with something more modest, but something that is aggressively recirculating the air, because you will, most HVAC systems for houses aren't capturing down to like 1 micron levels. Some are,
right.
Some are.
Improving that's not only good for the safety of your grow, but I was doing a different show talking to an allergen expert who said filtering in your house is just a good idea. It's going to reduce a lot of that crap that you're breathing in. We're in there too. Yeah, don't be afraid to upgrade the filter in the house or add a filter to the house. It's very good advice.
I would also make sure that like you're continually cleaning your tools. Gloves in the cultivation space would be super helpful as well. The human hand has on average 10,000 microbes per square inch. Yeah.
Fun.
And think about it this way, man. I mean, just to kind of blow minds a little bit, if you let's tap into the theater of the mind for a second. Like, think about your fingerprint. Think about the how it's like it's a ridge, right?
Yeah.
And if those ridges of your fingerprints, those ridges and valleys, those valleys can be about 40 to 60 microns deep. And if your smallest particle threat is 1 micron and larger, that means like 40 to 60 of those spores can stack on top of each other, shoulder on shoulder, and still not be able to see over the ridge of your fingerprint.
That is
so it's really easy for those types of spores and stuff to be trapped in our hands. So, hand washing, hand sanitizer, gloving, all that stuff. I would be like, make it as no contact as possible.
Yeah, and just keeping in mind, like you said, if you're going to be handling your plants and touching your buds or even defoliating and things like that, is something going to happen? Certainly. Well, it's not going to certainly happen, but there is a possible vector there. I think it's a good habit to get into. I think we focus sometimes on things that are less dangerous and less likely vectors. One of the things that I get a lot is like, bringing in new soil and worrying about insects and things like that. Here's something about insect pests. Insect pests specifically, they're pests for a reason. Very few of them can just survive in dirt without a living host to feed off of. Right. That's why they're parasites, right? There are some cases, some bugs are able to go dormant, but even usually then, those have to be triggered by cold weather events. Remember what Matthew Gates said on a recent episode. So like people are worried, I'm going to bring in this bag of soil and I'm worried about bugs. That's much less likely than some of the things you've brought up, i.e. bringing in a viroid from a cut and transferring it with scissors, or one little spore of mold laying dormant somewhere and then sprouting and proliferating and you have bud rot. I think those types of things are more common. A lot of people are worried about bugs in their soil. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm less concerned about the bug in the soil as much as what is riding on the back of the bug in the soil. My domain is not the bug. My domain is the bug's passengers. But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, the poop from the bug is food for mold.
True.
You're inside of a carbon-based media, which is like, soil has like 40,000 different species of microbes in a single teaspoon of soil. Right. You know what I mean? Or tablespoon. Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people choose soil because it's forgiving and et cetera and so forth. I came up in rock wool, in stone wool. So,
keep it clean, Jason. Keep it clean.
I mean, well, that's what I knew from the beginning. So it made sense to me. I mean, and it's, what is it called? Inert. It's an inert mineral-based environment. I mean, I understand it's like a blank canvas. You got to put everything in it. And it takes a little bit of practice to work with it. But I can tell you this, that like, which would you rather do? Would you rather have to learn how to flex a new muscle by learning to grow in like stone wool? Or would you rather be continually chasing microbes because you can't keep bringing the problem in from the hydro store? So think about this for a second. Let's follow this trail for a second. You go to the hydro store, right? Which is a microbial swingers club of all the other home growers that are coming in with their problems and resupplying and what have you. And let's say, are you going to take a bag from the outside of the pallet or are you going to take a bag from the inside of the pallet? Because those bags will have different moisture levels, which means different things might be proliferating in them. Right. Now you're going to take that soil into your car, and did any of the soil from any of the broken bags on the pallet or, stuff, or is there a leak in there that's now like leaking into your car?
Always, yeah.
Wait, it goes even further down the rabbit hole. Now you bring that bag of soil into your house, you bring it through your house, and hopefully you don't spill any of that soil as you go through the house, and you put it into your cultivation space, and then from there, you go to use it. Well, when you crack the bag open, if it isn't already covered in white fur in and of itself, because I've seen that happen, right? It happens. Every company experiences breakage, it is what it is. But now you're scooping that soil out, right? So you're scooping that soil out, and the stuff that you see in the scoop, you can see with the naked eye. But the stuff you can't see with the naked eye is pluming up into the room that you're working in. and will eventually land in other places, which you can then track out of the room back into your house. And now you've created a feedback loop of going from house to room to house to room, continually like chasing this problem.
Oh, it's a nightmare for a guy like you.
Finally, maybe not finally, but at least during the cultivation cycle, dirt is, and soil is going to, be coming like at the base of the pots when you water. It's going to be tracked into like the silvery part of your Gorilla Grow tent, like the material handling of it becomes problematic because it kind of gets everywhere.
That's the importance of cleaning between runs, because like you just said, eventually your tent starts staining brown. Now, I totally follow what you just said. Cocoa and Rockwool growers unite. We're always talking pro.
I know. Unpopular opinion.
No, that was good. Jason, I need it to balance out all my other guests. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's kind of a hot take. I get it.
I love it. But you know what? I will admit this. I am a dirt grower, but I will admit this. You're right. It ends up getting in your tent. And if you do one run and you don't clean, no big deal. But that second run, that third run, you can start to tell that dirt was in this fucking tent.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's making the brown stains on the floor and on the walls. So that's why it's important to get in there every time. You don't got to worry about that with some other mediums. That's very true. Or even a DWC, a soilless medium. But yeah, either way, you got to get in there and clean between those runs, man. That's when people are going to do it. I'm glad to hear you say that it's not super necessary to like disrupt your grow. Like you were saying, don't disrupt the process, but get in there and deep clean in between.
Yeah.
Growcast membership. If you love this show, you will love Growcast membership, our little club, the Order of Cultivation. Go to growcastpodcast.com/membership and see the hundreds of hours of bonus content, the live streams that you can engage with, Q&As, and Discord access so you'll never have a problem in your garden again. Plus, members-only discounts, giveaways, meetups, and so much more. It's all waiting for you in membership. Go and give it a try. You can do a 7-day free trial, consume all the content, watch Growcast TV, our weekly web show. It's on video. It's live. I love hanging out with the members, solving your problems, and doing these Growcast TV shows. I write some really, really cool stuff for those episodes. And again, if you like this show, you will love Growcast TV and everything we have in membership. Thank you so much to all the members. You help me do this full time. You are the lifeblood of our community. Thank you so much to all of my supporters. Again, go to growcastpodcast.com/membership, see all the offerings, and thank you so much for your support. Growcast membership, everybody. I'll see you there.
Do you see spaces that we're missing in the home grow that we're not cleaning that we should be? I can think of one or two.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's walk through the reset process real quick. So you chopped all your plants, you hung them, they're being trimmed, let's assume somewhere else, right? It's time to start the reset process because you're not going to reset while your plants are drying at the same time. You might want to, but if they're drying in the same room that you're growing in, it's a problem, right? We may want to rethink how our workflow issues, to say the least, right? But let's just assume that it's time to reset. First thing I would do is bag out all of the media. In other words, I wouldn't carry pots through the house. I would bag them up in the tent, ideally, and then carry all of that out of the house to create a barrier.
Yep. Contractor bag at the top, so you're not spraying dust. If you have to get that dirt out of there, don't carry it out pot by pot. That's good advice. I would have never thought of that.
Also, as well, I'm trying to think of what else. I would suggest you do a surface clean and put all the effort into the surface clean and then spray a disinfectant. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, I'm kind of suggesting that you do more work, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to make it a little bit more easy for you. So think about it this way. Dirt can hide microbes. So if all you're doing is just spraying disinfectant around and assuming that that's getting the dirt, you're probably right. But what it's not getting is it's not getting the microbes that are underneath the dirt, right? So the other thing too is that you have to be able to use cleansers that can eliminate biofilms. And some people might not necessarily know what a biofilm is. So I'm going to give you the Explain Like I'm 5 version. You ready?
Okay, yeah, catch us up.
All right, so bacteria lands on a surface, right? It's got its little hairs called flagella that have it, let's say in an irrigation line, for example, right? So bacteria gets into an irrigation line, it finds a place to root, that bacteria starts to exude something called an extracellular matrix. It's like basically a protective house around itself, a protective goo. Inside that goo, it can feed, it can reproduce, divide, right? Other bacteria can join in it. Don't even have to be the same species. And once that biofilm is filled with new bacteria, it bursts open and releases all that bacteria further down the line.
Gross.
In order
this is all
to
microscopic. This is all.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like bacteria is like a half of a micron.
Right.
And 1 micron is like 1/100th of a human hair, maybe.
Right. So this is tiny, tiny stuff, but they're making
tiny stuff.
They're making their little goo protective shield. They're partying in there. They're reproducing, and then they're bursting forth.
And they burst forth and they reproduce. So you want to
know what you're talking about. You're saying the disinfectant and wipe down should be second to a surface clean. Now, let me ask you this. Are you talking about a surface clean? Like, would some soap do good in that? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, soap would lift. Yeah, absolutely. Now, soap would serve or a simple green or something that there are things that are surfactants, which are something that cleans the surface, and it's combined with a disinfectant. Those products exist as well. I mean, I think, they're largely in the pharmaceutical hospital range, but your local hydro store or like a janitorial supplier near you might have something like that. But basically, a surface clean with soap will help. It will, number one, the way soap works is just, again, explain like I'm 5. One end of the soap molecule loves water. One end of the soap molecule hates water. So when soap's introduced, the end that hates water tries to gravitate towards anything physical it can, so it's not touching water. So that's how you get that lifting action in your laundry detergent. When you see those 3D animation laundry commercials where it's lifting the stain off of the cloth.
That's chemistry. I'm glad you explained it like I was 5 because I've never heard it put like that. That's actually super interesting.
Right. And then it's also loaded with antibacterials as well. But those will get bacteria because remember, humans care about bacteria more so than mold. So it's not going to get mold spores, but it will help on the bacterial side as well. So once you do a complete surface cleaning, then I would suggest a spray or a foam disinfectant. So BioSafe, for example, makes a foaming agent that you want to maintain as much contact time as possible. But if you clean for dirt and then disinfect, or you execute a disinfection step without cleaning the dirt first, you're kind of just power washing the exterior of the microbe's house.
Man, that's a game changer right there. The surface clean and then the disinfect. I'm guilty of the spray, the disinfectant, wipe down the tent and go. I'm gonna promote this from now on. You do a surface clean, scrub that bitch, and then come back around and disinfect.
And when you apply the disinfectant, you're gonna spray it and you're gonna leave it wet. You're gonna allow it to do its work. The other thing you need, to maintain contact time. But here's the thing to consider: is that let's say, okay, we'll go going back to Lysol, right? If it says spray and leave wet for 10 minutes to achieve X level of eradication, but it evaporates in 5 minutes, then you have to go back and apply another application of the disinfectant in order to maintain that 10-minute contact time.
Okay. I got you.
You know what I mean? So that's where
misleading on Lysol's part, but I'm with it.
Yeah, no, I know it is because everybody's dazzled by the 99.9, but yet they kind of wax on, wax off, spray it real quick, wipe it down. Ain't like that. The other thing I might suggest too is cleaning not just the inside of the tent, but the outside of the tent and doing so from top to bottom.
Yes, I was going to say outside of the tent. That's something that I see growers miss. I've talked about fans before. Growers won't clean their fans. That's one that they miss.
Oh, yeah.
But outside of the tent, you beat me to it. That's a curveball. Clean the outside. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then same thing with that water barrier that's in there, how sometimes grow tents have a little 3-inch lip that goes on the floor, like a floor liner.
Yep.
Because sometimes you can spill water, between those walls or.
Yeah, my stuff pools in that one corner, and then
and
dried salt flat over in the corner.
Right. I mean, those floor liners are great, but they're not 100%. I'm sure at some point you're going to experience a leak, right? If you haven't cleaned up water, are you really a grower, right?
Yeah, right. If you haven't flooded your reservoir, you haven't been growing for that long. That's good.
So it's contact time and then cleaning outside the tent. We talked about fans. I would buy fans that you can take apart.
Yeah. The easier to take apart, the easier time you're going to have cleaning all those individual blades, because they do get nasty, man. If you don't clean them, you'll see how much dust builds up on those bad boys.
I'm gonna throw something out that might, I don't know, it might apply to home growers, but I suggest it at the commercial scale all the time.
Sure.
But like, what are the things that you can replace quickly and take the dirty one back to a wash area and clean everything all at once? So like, think about it this way. We're just talking about fans, right? What if you bought 2 fans instead of 1? And then you just swap your fan out and you take the old fan back to the cleaning area, and then you're not cleaning it inside the tent.
True. Those clip-on fans, particularly easy. Jason, back in the day, we'd take a box fan and like bungee it to wherever we could on the tent. That might be a little harder to take down versus those clip-on fans. Have 2 is what you're saying, and just throw one in, clean the other one when you got a minute.
Yeah, I mean, or the other thing to do is, even if you don't like, it's always good to have extra parts, right? So like if you bought 2 fans, and let's say, like when you're making your choices for your products in your cultivation, you do want to think about, like, it's not just about how will this help my plants grow? How is this thing going to get cleaned? Think about all those people that bought a chiller and they're just running RO water through a chiller and then directly into their grow without, like, I always suggest, like, run your chiller into an igloo cooler and then run that water into, run it through beer coils to chill it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll say I have a design that I used when I used to be a reservoir grower, like when I was doing recirculating systems. And it's like, you run the water through the chiller through beer coils. That's how you chill the water. You don't run it directly through your chiller, right? Because how are you going to clean the inside of a chiller?
I've thought about that before too. Like the sides of circulating pumps, or like, watering pumps and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or, a really bad one. I feel like you don't see these as much anymore. They've got other products now, like the Aero mixer that I really like and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Air stones, dude. Air stones used to get so nasty because they were porous. You must have just loved looking into a reservoir of some grower and seeing that green air stone at the bottom of the res.
I'll tell you this. By the time I got to where I am now around microbe control, I hadn't seen an air stone in a couple of years in anywhere growing. But I will say this, that I personally used air stones, and they were so gnarly. Not even just the stone itself, but like, when it would collect around, like all the biofilms would collect around the base that was sitting on the floor of the reservoir,
Yeah, the big piece of metal, the metal ring that kind of sits in, gets all gross. And even the tubing that's connected to the back, it's always covered in algae.
Yeah, exactly, right. So,
oh, it's good stuff.
And the irony being is that, like, if you think about it and you're running RO water, for example, that RO water is supposed to be free of microbes. So if your, like, reservoirs have algae in them, it's not coming from the RO system. It's coming from the outside. You're bringing it in.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the air or on your person or on a cut or on a tool or on a consumable from the hydro store, like, your problems are making their way in. So that's where I'm a big fan of risk reduction. But in the midst of the problem, you kind of have to fire into the jungle. I always tell clients, I'm like, yeah, I can give you the shot of penicillin and tell you to use ProCure or Garden Clean or whatever, but my job is really to convince you to stop banging hookers. You got to make that larger life choice around your facility.
Those are called lifestyle changes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we just got a good list of a bunch of lifestyle changes to make, man. That was some great advice. Understanding the vectors, understanding that you are a vector. The recommendation for the sticky mats is a game changer. I hope to see some people. If you grab those sticky mats, please take a picture and send it and tag Growcast. Increasing your HVAC filtration filters, the surface clean plus the disinfect, and then the not missing parts of the tent that people often miss, like the outsides and fans.
I'd also like to add as many swappable parts as possible that you can, like, just remove from the room and clean elsewhere. And considering when you're buying equipment, like, how am I going to clean this?
Yeah, true.
I mean, those are key as well. And I know I want to answer your question specifically because we talked about it before the show. The reason you don't use hot water with bleach is because it denatures the bleach faster. It degrades the bleach faster.
Okay, let's talk about the penicillin. Let's get into it. I want to start with bleach. Okay, so the first tip that Rich brought this up on the show. I had no idea this was the case. I thought the hot water was good for cleaning. Rich says never mix hot water and bleach. So you're saying it denatures it. It makes it ineffective, essentially?
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you left bleach out like for like, let's say a year. I think the shelf life on bleach is about a year. It degrades into salt water.
Is that right?
And
whoa,
yeah, it degrades into salt and water.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's straight from the Clorox website.
That is
You know?
Okay.
No, exactly. So you have to remember that bleach is in a constant state of degradation. So to use hot water with it accelerates it. So if you think about it, let's say if you bought the bottle and did it that day with hot water, you probably would still have some efficacy. That part I wouldn't be as concerned about. But if you were using a 6-month-old bottle of bleach with hot water, you're probably just cleaning with ocean water at that point. You know what I mean?
Crazy. Now, what about when I go, I'm smart. They say to put it 1 parts to 5 parts water, but I need this really clean. I'll just dump the bottle on it. Can you talk about
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's got to work, right?
Right. You would think that intuitively speaking, whole bleach, you would think would do the job. It actually doesn't require water in order for it to be efficacious. And that's every bottle of bleach will tell you that. I actually just recently posted an article from a guy at the Scripps University who kind of gave the lowdown on all things bleach. And that's what he had said as well. He's like some bigwig around like infection control or one of their food safety certifiers or something like that. But in any case,
better diluted.
But yeah, it does better diluted. I'll give you another great example. 90%, 99% ISO is fantastic for cleaning your bong, but you need the water in ISO in order for it to take longer to evaporate, so it has more time to denature. So for disinfection, 70% is actually better than 90% or 99%. Because
it's going to hang around longer. That was one you said on TV once, I think. That one blew my mind too. A lot of people use hydrogen peroxide. Is that like not strong enough? Or
no, hydrogen peroxide is fine. It just depends on the percentage and the concentration. So the hydrogen peroxide that you buy at the store for cuts and stuff like that is typically like 3% or something like that, maybe 6%. And, again, you're targeting your cleanser for the thing you're trying to clean. You know what I mean? And not only that, but for safety as well. So you're not going to go buy the H2O2 that you get in the 5-gallon bucket at the hydro store, because show of white, powdery white hand who burned themselves with hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, totally true. True.
I've burned myself more times than I ever care to count. So it really comes down to like reading the labels on your cleansers and understanding what they do and what they don't do. And if you ever have a question, I always recommend call the manufacturer, because number one, they want to talk to you because they want to sell you more product. Number two, they want to talk to you because they want to make sure you're using it correctly, because, like if you're claiming that like you used Lysol to like take care of your grandmother's hospice room in her house and she ended up dying of an infection and you're trying to sue them over it or something. Right. You know what I mean? Like the first thing they're going to ask is, did you use it as it was directed? And if you didn't know what you're doing, what help did you get?
True. And so we got to follow these directions. Read the asterisks. The fine print is meaningful on those bottles.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Man, that was great. Great breakdown of cleaning products at the end here. Listen, I know we're up against it time-wise. Is there anything else you want to throw in here? Anything about cleaning, resets, plugs? Find you?
Yeah. Okay. I'll throw in a couple of things. I would say I have available as a gift to your listeners, if they want to reach out to me on Instagram at DyslexiCStoner402 and send me an email address. I actually have the ASTM standards for room resets, which is basically, it's a commercial level reset SOP, but it's pretty comprehensive. And you take it and you dumb it down to what you need for your house.
I love that. Get after it, everybody. He just invited you. Slide in those DMs, as they say. Hey, you got the SOP? That's the type of thing that my listeners love to hear, Jason.
No, thank you. Absolutely. And because here's the thing. I know education is huge, and the lack of education leaves you to start going down the road of bro science. And I'm just like, dude, just up your level of bro. That's all, but I get it. A lot of growers, they swirl around and I don't even know where to start asking questions, or, they see something on TV and they think, oh, well, that must work. Or they saw something in an office building or a hospital or something like that. And it's not always a one-to-one application for cannabis. You know what I mean? So I am more than happy to answer questions. I mean, I'm not like a, what do you think of Dr. Doom, bug spray guy? That's kind of not where I'm at. But what I can tell you is like how you need to do something, what kind of like things you need to consider when you're doing your cleaning so that you're not just creating this false sense of security. Because that's a lot of times what happens. I have growers all the time that are like, oh man, we're constantly cleaning. I applaud your effort. I really do. But is the cleaning that you're doing actually cleaning?
The false sense of security. That is true. Truer words have never been spoken.
There you go.
And then anything related to filters, right? You're working with Filtr.
Yeah, I work with Filtr.
Solutions.
Listen, I know you have a lot of home grower audience, but, the home growers of today are the facility managers of tomorrow.
We also have some shout out. If you are a commercial cultivator and you're looking to get your filtration needs taken care of, Jason is your man. We do have some pro growers. So shout out the website.
I will take that. And yeah, for sure. You can follow, again, Dyslexic Stoner 402 on the Instagram. You can always reach out to the contact us page at filtrscience.com. That's FILTR science.com. I made them buy Filtr Science properly spelled too, and it should reroute. So as long as they've been paying that bill, we're good. Because I always have to go FILTR. They're like, where's the E? I'm like, we keep putting it on the device, but it's just so powerful. It sucks it right off,
sure. Okay, cool.
No, I'm kidding.
So for all your filtration needs, filterscience.com. Jason, this was awesome, man. Really, really great.
Thank you, man. It's always great to be back. And, I love interacting with your audience. So, guys, after the show here, don't be shy about reaching out.
Yeah, hit them up, everybody. Let's show them what's up. Get that SOP going. We're up against it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Growcastpodcast.com for all the stuff. I appreciate you tuning in. This is Jason and Jordan signing off saying be safe out there, keep it clean, and grow smarter. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, folks. Special shout out to the members out there. See everything we're doing at growcastpodcast.com. Check out membership. Hundreds of hours of bonus content waiting for you there. Plus, we got Seed Co. up there. We got a bunch of good stuff. Quick shout out to Rooted Leaf Nutrients. Rootedleaf.com. Code GROWCAST saves you 20% on my favorite nutrients. No need to pH. Eco-friendly. Worm-friendly. Love these guys. If you want your garden to rip, go to rootedleafnutrients.com. Try their CalMag, try their Silica Skin, try their foliar program, try their whole line. Use code GROWCAST for 20% off. I promise you, you will not regret the switch to Rooted Leaf Nutrients. Rootedleaf.com, code GROWCAST. Thank you to all of our supporters. Thank you to the members. Thank you to you listeners. Hope you're doing amazing things out there. Have a lovely holiday season. Come and see me in membership. I'll be streaming all through the holidays. Hope to see you there. Love you guys. Be safe. Bye-bye.
My job is really to convince you to stop banging hookers.